Hello. Today I would like to discuss a topic with you that encompasses the whole value chain: quality. Now, when you hear quality, you probably think about all those inspectors coming in when you finalized your design or produced your turbine and pointing out to you all the mistakes you made and all the reasons why you cannot hand over the product to the customer. And yes, this is the nature of many of us, that we cannot look away from mistakes. But any quality engineer will tell you that the real work is avoiding the mistakes from the start. For me, this means doing the right things right the first time. I'm very grateful that I can dedicate my work to achieving quality in new designs at Siemens Gamesa's wind business every day. Instrumental for achieving this first time right goal is a structured quality planning method, APQP4Wind. And it is not just me or Siemens Gamesa believing so, but over 150 leading companies in the wind industry, including 7 utilities and 12 OEMs. In the next few minutes, I will explain to you why APQP4Wind is the right way and the recommended strategy for the wind industry to achieve high quality outcome. Now, if I ask all of you to picture paradise after sitting at work for the whole day, we might end up getting sidetracked. So let's at least put it in the context of why we are all here. We want a clean energy future driven by wind power that is safe, sustainable, and reliable for society, and maximizes operational efficiency for the whole value chain. Now, as I said before, I'm a quality engineer. So how does paradise look for myself? An end-to-end quality management process that supports engineers to decrease the time to market. This process helps us understand the needs of the customer, it anticipates failures, reduces cost of quality, and work together smoothly along the value chain. Now, here I'm speaking from an OEM perspective, but it is important for me to highlight that APQP4Wind addresses the entire value chain, from suppliers to end users, ensuring that quality is maintained at every stage of wind farm development. And this holistic approach is crucial for project success. APQP4Wind is both an advanced product quality planning method that aims to be the quality assurance methodology used by the entire global wind industry, but it's also a non-profit organization whose vision is to align and mature the supply chain. The organization's mission is to provide standards, tools, methods based on the commonly accepted APQP principles and guidelines developed by APQP4Wind members. And we want to enable collaboration within the wind industry so that we can help stakeholders improve quality and minimize risk. APQP4Wind was founded in 2018 and is endorsed by world-leading utilities, developers, wind turbine manufacturers, and suppliers. And since its establishment, support for the organization and adoption of the method have grown tremendously. Over the past 7 years, more than 7,400 employees from over 50 countries have participated in APQP4Wind training courses. Additionally, over 150 companies have already signed up for a membership to show their support to APQP4Wind and send a clear message that they are committed to quality assurance. This growing engagement reinforces APQP4Wind's role as the industry's common frame of reference for quality, helping companies align processes, reduce risk, and drive sustainable growth across the global wind energy supply chain. The APQP4Wind methodology is centered around the whole value chain, is applicable to all quality processes. The best practices and guidelines for implementing quality planning across the wind energy sector are outlined in the APQP4Wind manual. It serves as a comprehensive resource for stakeholders to enhance their quality processes. Now, this is where in any contract you would have a small asterisk and 5 pages of fine print. Of course, just writing into a contract that you follow a methodology will not magically make all your quality problems disappear. It is a learning curve, and you need to continuously push your maturity levels to reach the full benefits. In the next slides, I want to focus on 3 of the aspects of APQP4Wind with you. The first one is early engagement of the whole value chain and speaking a common language. The second are FMEAs to correctly predict failure modes, define critical characteristics, and shape control plans to validate design solutions early on. And lastly, I also want to look at the end-to-end quality data availability from the point of my work in an OEM, enabled by the use of APQP4Wind. Now, let us imagine a utility who would like to sign a wind turbine manufacturing agreement with an OEM. From a quality perspective alone, usually what would happen is hours and hours of questionnaires filled in on quality management processes. Then we have deep dive meetings where senior experts explain the processes in detail. Sign a contract detailing exactly all the quality assurance processes again. And once the contract is signed, potentially quite some months has passed, you have a new team of experts sitting at the OEM and utility, and you're debating what could have actually been meant with the wording and agreements in the contract. How much easier would our life be if we had a common language between us? If, when a supplier tells me that they have assessed their design risks and defined critical characteristics, I would know exactly what process and what rating criteria they had used to get there without having to ask. If, when a supplier promises that they can stem the workload and deliver the components on time, I knew that they had done a feasibility study with specific requirements and created backup plans. And this is exactly what APQP4Wind offers us. Once both companies agree to follow the methodology, they act according to the agreed playbook and are bound by these agreements. During a kickoff meeting between the involved parties, it's agreed if any additions or adoptions to the general APQP4Wind process are necessary and how the two partners expect to work together. From there on, it's clear to both parties which processes are followed, and at once a manufacturer issues the final documentation for a component, all risks are correctly mitigated, and the voice of customer requirements are fulfilled. This reduces time spent on contract negotiations, on understanding each other's processes, and ensures smooth handover to customers. I would like to bring one example. In our company, we experienced issues working with a supplier. We saw design requirements not being fulfilled, documentation not living up to expectations, risk not correctly mitigated, leading to delays and non-acceptance of products. We decided to introduce APQP4Wind as a corrective measure and invested into a strong relationship between our APQP4Wind trainers and the supplier quality engineers on our side and at the supplier. After 6 weeks of intensive coaching and satisfying workshops, all required documents were transferred effective and efficient, and both parties could benefit from reduced cycle time of the documentation, more accurate content in the documents with less misunderstandings, improvement of timeline and due dates, and standardized processes on both sides that avoided any non-conformities. Now looking at the second point, risk management. We already talked about having a common language and how this benefits us in the sales phase. When we're now entering the design phase, the relationships between us, our suppliers, and our customers can be quite complex to navigate. We encounter situations where the design of a component is done internally and manufacturing is handled external, or vice versa. We can also have suppliers handling design to specification and manufacturing of components like blades, which are crucial to the reliability of the final product. We might even have our customers designing interfacing parts like foundations and substations that need to seamlessly integrate with our products. It is this common language that allows us to share design risks between suppliers in an efficient manner and understand how the design risks are addressed during manufacturing processes, no matter how the value chain is organized. We achieve this by making use of another methodology from APQP4Wind, FMEAs. A failure mode and effect analysis provides us with the ability to predict possible failure modes and clearly define which characteristics of our design are critical. This way, we neither end up trusting on, oh, it always has worked out until now, nor do we overestimate the risk, marking everything as critical and thereby increasing the price of our product. This methodology also ensures that we use a cross-functional team to assess any design and check it not just for fulfilling its primary function, but also being easy and safe to manufacture, transport, and service. Now, once we have defined our failure modes and critical characteristics, we can use this knowledge to identify control plans for manufacturing that are based on past data instead of best guesses. We can ensure to test as early as possible in the value chain, have clear validation plans for new designs, and minimize non-conformity costs. As an example, using processes like design and process FMEA, allows us to focus on product characteristics with the highest impact on safety or quality and reliability, instead of relying on gut feelings only. When you perform an FMEA, you have industry-wide aligned rating schemes for your failure modes, ensuring that you act on any critical product characteristics and mitigate the involved risks. Here you can see an example of a PFMEA that highlights a risk with a torque connection on a segment. The potential effect of the failure will be a deformed segment, and based on the severity, occurrence, and detection rating, this failure mode requires us to take mitigation actions. And in this case, the FMEA analysis led to the implementation of a new torque tool, effectively mitigating the risk. Using this early collaboration approach on design also allows you to optimize your design, for example, for manufacturability. Here I use a standard example, as I cannot share the proprietary information. But from an engineering point of view, both brackets fulfill the requirements. They hold the component in place. But from a manufacturing point of view, the number of parts, assembly steps, and therefore possibilities for error are greatly reduced in the DFM version. This can be applied in many ways. Cable connections in the tower, for example, via Pokayoke solutions. This focus on critical characteristics also means you can reduce product cost by reducing inspections in manufacturing to a minimum and structuring your supplier approval process leaner. You can use a tiered approach depending on if your supplier manufactures components with unmitigated critical characteristics or off-the-shelf standard products. The early involvement of all parts of the value chain ensures that we can learn from experience of suppliers and customers during design and ensure manufacturability and serviceability of our products. A design engineer can easily use an extract of his DFMEA and the critical characteristics to ensure his requirements are understood by the supplier. The supplier can then incorporate these critical characteristics into his DFMEAs and control plans and establish stable production through process capability and measurement system analysis. The effective control of critical characteristics ensures the final product is fulfilling the requirements and non-conformities are found early on. As a quality engineer, I love doing the right things in the right way. And to achieve that, we need data. Preferably in a structured way, easy to analyze for continuous improvement and avoidance of mistakes. And this is how we as a company are supported by APQP4Wind in gathering the right data. A good starting point is to know the voice of the customer and understand the requirements. As much as we engineers like to develop new designs just because we can, we usually have a customer as well as authorities and financial institutions standing at the end expecting their needs to be met. Then critical for me in quality is learning from past mistakes, meaning considering historical quality data, reliability of data turbines, non-conformities, ADs, and avoiding reoccurrence of non-conformities in future designs. If you combine all these methodologies, like FMEAs, control plans, SPC, with state-of-the-art data management, it enables engineers with a few clicks to know the reliability data for their components, assess if defined failure modes match experience in the fleet, and continuously push product cost and performance. We have various examples where the implementation of statistical process control as part of APQP4Wind led to reduced cost or improved manufacturing processes. In this example here, we introduced SPC to an existing testing process now in production. We had not had any failed tests during production on the component, but could see failures in the field. By plotting the SPC data over time, we could though see outliers where the design requirements clearly were not met. This did not only help pinpoint the exact affected components and aligning with the impacted customers' mitigation measures, it led also to an update of the shop floor software that had not correctly interpreted the test results of the component. SPC provides you with insights you might not have realized if you would have just looked at, for example, your NC data. In this case, all measurement points were inside specifications, but SPC showed a clear deterioration in the curing process of the specific oven, and this could be traced back to the introduction of a new resin system. We were also able to agree with one of our customers to use a large batch of chemicals used in production that had crossed the expiration date. A situation that would have normally created a lot of waste could be avoided as we were able to provide clear data through statistical process control that the chemical was still achieving the design requirements and no negative impact on product reliability was to be expected. As we have seen, APQP4Wind focuses on mutual understanding of requirements and critical properties through early engagement along the value chain. This allows for a reduced time to market and lower cost of quality. The entire value chain benefits from a structured qualification process, not only between OEMs and suppliers, but also between utilities and OEMs. The active risk management leads to a higher reliability of wind energy systems and ensures customer satisfaction. All this is enabled by introducing standards, methods, and tools through APQP4Wind for the entire wind industry. I invite all of you to join us in making wind energy a success by implementing APQP4Wind. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to know more about APQP4Wind, you're welcome to send an email to me or the APQP4Wind Secretariat, or visit the APQP4Wind website or LinkedIn page. Have a nice day.